Creo que solo es más triste. Creo que juntos es difícil. Si dejamos que el deseo nos libere de un abismo más profundo que uno mismo. Como dos ilusionados.
I was born in Venezuela and parents are Lebanese, but I feel I don't really belong to Lebanon and I don't really belong to Venezuela, even though and I live in the United States. I am an American as well. I don't really feel like I belong in each one of these parts. I think all these parts belong to me and I belong to them. And sometimes it's confusing. You don't know really what society, what social structure you belong to. But without a doubt, my heart is mostly in the Middle East. My heart is in the Middle East. And my brain, the way I think, is American, is North and South American. It's that duality that's very much a part of me. There's many ways of expressing yourself through writing, through painting, but I just think that music it comes from the heart, and very few things can transport you from one place to another, from one part of the world to another, and I think music does that in a way that very few things can do. My influences are very diverse, and I think it's because of where I was born and my history. And of course, I'm very influenced by Arabic and Middle Eastern music because those are my roots. My main influence growing up when I was a little girl was Fairuz, because she's basically the symbol of Lebanon for people outside of Lebanon. So I remember a little girl, listening to Bint al-Shalabiyya and Bḥibbak Ya Lebnan, all those traditional Lebanese songs. And of course, there's Kulthum, there's Muhammad Abdul Wahab that actually I started listening to much later in my life, because when I was a little girl, I was like, I can't listen to that kind of music. It's too old and classical, and I want to listen to the Beatles and to, Rolling Stone, and to Barbara Streisand, and to Simon and Garfunkel, and to Cat Stevens. I mean, really, the singers and songwriters were my main influence. And then came jazz, Ella Fitzgerald, Nina Simone. Those were my influences as far as jazz is concerned for jazz singers when I started singing jazz voice. The fusion of the Latin world that I was born in, with the rhythms, with the salsa, merengue, son cubano, and then the Arabic, the traditional, those two worlds colliding basically is what I am, what I love. There's something about singing in the middle of nowhere in a hall where there's nobody listening to you, only you and the sky. There's something magical, and that nobody can take that away from you. Singing to the gods or to an unknown power. I love writing songs, but I love singing them, whether they're mine or they're not mine. I love to sing. It's very interesting how the fusion of this album has come about. When I was actually writing and starting to produce the words, the songs by myself, I started, interestingly enough, hearing flamenco in the songs. And I said, you know, I'm not a flamenco guitarist. I could never make it sound like flamenco. I'd have to get someone. And then interestingly enough, my producer calls me and says, you know, there's this guy that wants to work with you. He's heard your stuff. And I'm like, who is this? And so I did research on him and I'm like, oh my God, I actually like this guy. I actually own pretty much a lot of his albums. So the flamenco came about because of that, and which was great because I wanted that. And then naturally the Latin music, the Latin part, the Cuban rhythms that are very much a part of what I love in songmaking and songwriting, and the heart of every one of my songs, which is the Middle East, Lebanon.
Made some mistake with the harmony. You continue until the end. That when we finish, we can make a composite, choosing the best sentences.
In this album, there's several protagonists. Melodically and harmonically, there's the oud, the tres, and the flamenco guitar. And all three of them are doing this dance, all three of them together, not getting into each other's way, pretty much communicating in a very beautiful, subtle, sometimes decisive way. And when it's decisive, the other one kind of backs off. It's a dance. And then rhythmically, we have the conga, a very Latin rhythmic instrument. We have the cajon, which is also Latin from Spain. And then we have the dirbaque and also the tar, the duff. And all three of them also are communicating in a beautifully rhythmic, syncopated way that I just think it just works so well. These musicians are so well crafted. They're so gifted in their craft that they pretty much let the other musicians speak and not get in their way either. So I think it works great. How I got to where I am in this album with these songs, I think it's been a journey. And I think it's pretty indicative of where I've been. Traveling between Miami, where I'm based out of right now, and Lebanon, and all the experiences in between those two places and those two worlds, different people, relationships, opportunities that have come about. The songs are pretty much a representation of the times that we're living in. There's very, very tense times in the world, in the Middle East, war. Those are things that are very close to my heart, my homeland, the promised land, quote unquote, Palestine, Iraq, Lebanon, of course. All of those things influence my songs, and of course they're in my text, in the text of the songs.
Con tus manos yo me lleno, con un beso vas creando un sinfín de gotas sonoro.